midnight in my garage, and I'm rewiring an old radio when the house decides to betray my wife's secrets. The heating vent above my workbench carries voices like a confessional booth with broken privacy seals. Your father's just baggage, Lily. My therapist says he's the root of my stress. Marissa's voice drifts down, sharp as broken glass. My daughter's response makes my wrench slip. Maybe if you had a real man, you wouldn't need therapy. I sit there in the fluorescent buzz, surrounded by car parts and tool catalogs, listening to my family dissect me like a failed engine. The radio crackles to life, some late-night talk show host discussing betrayal. How fitting. 22 years I've been married to Marissa Chen-Williams, attorney at law, pillar of our little community of Millbrook Heights. 22 years of building my used car business from a single rusty Camaro to the most trusted lot in 3 counties. 22 years of watching her climb the legal ladder while I stayed grounded, grease under my nails, pride in my work. But something's been different these past 6 months. Marissa's schedule grew erratic, filled with therapy appointments that stretched into evenings. She'd return home with that peculiar glow people get after good news or great satisfaction. I assumed she was working through our rough patch. The arguments about money, about Lily's attitude, about my lack of ambition. Turns out I was paying for my own humiliation. The voices upstairs fade as they move to different rooms. I click off the radio and head inside, past the family photos that now feel like evidence of a crime scene. Our split-level house sits on Maple Street, where neighbors know each other's business better than their own. Mrs. Patterson next door probably heard every word through these paper-thin walls. In the kitchen, I grab a bottle of water and notice Marissa's purse on the counter. She's usually obsessive about keeping it close, but tonight it sits open like an invitation. Inside, nestled between her usual attorney accessories, I spot something that doesn't belong, a second phone. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My hands shake as I power it on. The screen fills with text messages to someone named Theo. The timestamps match her therapy appointments perfectly. Can't wait to feel you inside me again. Eddie's working late. We have 3 hours. My husband pays for our sessions. Isn't that delicious? The phone slips from my hands, clattering on the tile floor. I scramble to pick it up, scrolling through months of messages that paint a picture I never wanted to see. Dr. Theodore Blackwood, licensed clinical therapist, has been providing my wife with very personal treatment. I've been financing my own betrayal, $50 per session, twice a week for 6 months. The math stings worse than the infidelity, over $2,400 of my hard-earned money funding their affair. Upstairs, Marissa's shower starts running. I slip the phone back into her purse and retreat to my garage sanctuary. The radio parts scatter across my workbench like puzzle pieces of a life I thought I understood. My inner voice, usually calm and measured, turns sharp and calculating. So you want therapy, sweetheart? Let me show you what real psychological treatment looks like. The next morning arrives gray and cold, matching my mood. Marissa bustles around the kitchen in her power suit, preparing for another day of legal victories while I nurse coffee that tastes like betrayal. Eddie, I have a late session with Dr. Blackwood tonight. Don't wait up. She doesn't even look at me, focused on her phone, the visible one. How's therapy going? I ask, testing the waters. Productive, very productive. The slight smile that crosses her lips makes my stomach turn. Lily stumbles downstairs, 17 and armed with teenage contempt. Dad, can you not embarrass me at the talent show next week? Some of us have reputations to maintain. What reputation is that, sweetheart? The one where you insult your father to strangers. She rolls her eyes. Mom says you're too sensitive. Maybe if you had goals beyond selling junker cars, you'd understand success. Marissa nods approvingly. Lily's right. Dr. Blackwood says my stress levels would decrease significantly if my environment became more positive. Environment. That's what I've become. A negative environment to be managed and eventually eliminated. After they leave, I sit in my empty house and plan. The old Eddie would have confronted them directly, demanded explanations, maybe suggested marriage counseling. But the old Eddie was naive enough to fund his wife's affair while she mocked him to their daughter. This Eddie has different ideas. I drive to Blackwood's office, a sleek glass building downtown that screams expensive therapy. His Tesla Model S sits in the parking space marked Dr. T. Blackwood, vanity plates reading Healer. The irony burns. Through my binoculars, I watch him between appointments. Tall, silver-haired, wearing the kind of casual confidence that comes from manipulating vulnerable people for a living. When he checks his phone and smiles, I know exactly who's texting. That evening, I follow them to Romano's, the upscale Italian place where Marissa and I had our anniversary dinner 3 years ago. They sit in the same corner booth, her hand covering his across the table. She throws her head back, laughing at something he whispers. I haven't seen her laugh like that in months. They leave separately, professional discretion, but I follow his Tesla to the Riverside Towers, the most expensive apartment complex in town. Marissa's Honda arrives 20 minutes later. I wait in the parking garage, surrounded by luxury cars that represent everything I'm supposedly not. When the coast clears, I approach Blackwood's Tesla with my keys ready. The scratch runs from headlight to taillight, deep enough to require professional repair. For the gas tank, I use sugar packets from Romano's, a nice touch of poetic justice. The sweetness of revenge, literally. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Enjoying the show, Eddie? I look around the garage, spotting the security camera aimed directly at the Tesla. Someone's been watching me watch them. The message continues. Marissa will receive this footage tomorrow unless you stop playing games. I type back, tell her the games are just beginning. The response comes immediately. You have no idea what you're starting. Actually, I think, I have exactly the idea I need. The anonymous footage arrives at Marissa's office the next morning, delivered by messenger to ensure maximum workplace drama. I know because her assistant calls me, voice trembling with barely contained gossip. Mr. Williams? Mrs. Williams asked me to inform you that she'll be working late tonight. Very late. Let me guess, emergency therapy session? The pause tells me everything. She didn't specify. By noon, the whole town's buzzing. Millbrook Heights thrives on scandal, the way plants thrive on sunlight, and I've just provided premium fertilizer. Sasha Morrison, Marissa's best friend and the town's unofficial information broker, corners me at Murphy's Bar and Grill during lunch. Eddie, honey, what's this I hear about you vandalizing cars? She slides into the booth across from me, her predatory smile barely contained. Depends on what you're hearing, Sasha. Security footage of you scratching up some fancy Tesla. Marissa's beside herself. I sip my beer slowly, letting the silence stretch. Funny thing about security footage. It only shows actions, not motivations. Makes you wonder what someone might have done to deserve vandalized property. Sasha's eyes light up like Christmas morning. Are you saying Marissa? I'm saying marriage is complicated. Sometimes people need therapy, sometimes they need different kinds of therapy. The seed planted, I watch Sasha's mind work. She'll have this conversation repeated to 15 different people by dinner time, each retelling adding new layers of speculation. That evening, Marissa storms into the house like a legal hurricane. What the hell is wrong with you? She waves her phone, presumably showing the Tesla footage. Do you have any idea how this makes me look? How does it make you look, sweetheart? Like I'm married to a psychopath. Dr. Blackwood had to file a police report. His car needs $3,000 in repairs. I lean back in my recliner, remote control in hand. Dr. Blackwood, huh? First name basis with your therapist now? The slip registers on her face for half a second before the lawyer mask slides back into place. He's been very professional throughout this whole situation. I bet he has. Very hands-on approach to therapy, I'm sure. Lily appears in the doorway, phone in hand as always. Dad, you're trending on the neighborhood Facebook page. Mrs. Patterson posted about domestic disturbances and concerning behavior patterns. Let me see. I take her phone, scrolling through comments that range from supportive to scandalized. The narrative's already shifting. I'm either a wronged husband or an unstable vandal, depending on who's commenting. Marissa snatches the phone. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Your actions reflect on all of us. Interesting perspective from someone whose therapist drives a Tesla. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, honey. Just wondering how therapy got so expensive lately. The next few days blur together in a haze of whispered conversations and meaningful glances. I've become Millbrook Heights' most interesting resident, which in a town of 8,000 people makes me practically a celebrity. Mo Patterson, no relation to my nosy neighbor, runs the boxing gym where I've been working out for 15 years. He's seen me through 2 business expansions, Lily's childhood crises, and now my marital implosion. You look like hell, Eddie. He holds the heavy bag while I pound out my frustrations. Feel worse than I look. Want to talk about it? Between punches, I tell him about the phones, the texts, the therapy bills. Mo listens without judgment, occasionally grunting approval when I describe my Tesla artwork. So what's the plan? He asks. Plan. Brother, you don't key a man's car without a plan. That's just vandalism. You want revenge? You need strategy. Mo's right. The Tesla was emotional, sloppy. If I'm going to destroy my wife's carefully constructed life, I need to be smarter about it. That weekend, I dig through our financial records with the thoroughness of an IRS audit. What I find makes the affair seem almost quaint by comparison. Marissa's been moving money. Small amounts at first, then larger transfers to accounts I don't recognize. Our joint savings account, built from 20 years of car sales and careful budgeting, has been systematically drained. But here's the beautiful part. She forgot about the prenuptial agreement. 22 years ago, fresh out of law school and drowning in student loans, Marissa insisted on a prenup to protect her future earning potential. The document buried in our filing cabinet under important papers we'll never need clearly states that in case of adultery, the injured party retains full ownership of all premarital assets and businesses. My car lot, purchased 6 months before our wedding with money inherited from my grandfather, qualifies as premarital property. So does the house, technically, since I made the down payment from the same inheritance. I photocopy everything: bank statements, therapy receipts, the prenup, even grocery receipts showing purchases of items we never eat at home, evidence of a double life funded by marital assets. Monday morning, I visit Janet Rodriguez at First National Bank. She's handled my business accounts for a decade and knows every detail of my financial history. Eddie, good to see you. What can I do for you? I need to make some changes to my accounts, starting with removing Marissa's access to the business funds. Janet's expression shifts to professional concern. Is everything all right at home? Let's just say I'm taking a more active role in financial management. The paperwork takes an hour, but when I leave the bank, Marissa's ability to drain my business accounts has been eliminated. She still has access to our joint personal account for now. Tuesday brings the first real confrontation. Marissa's credit card gets declined at Romano's during what I can only assume was another therapeutic dinner. She calls me from the restaurant parking lot, voice shaking with rage. What did you do to our accounts? Protected my business interests. You understand business protection, right? Being a lawyer and all? Eddie, this is harassment. I could have you arrested. For managing my own money. Good luck with that legal strategy, counselor. The line goes quiet, except for her breathing. When she speaks again, her voice carries a chill that would freeze summer. You have no idea what you're starting. Actually, I think I'm finishing something you started 6 months ago. That night, she doesn't come home at all. Lily, surprisingly, seems more curious than concerned. Where's Mom? Probably getting therapy. She's been under a lot of stress lately. What kind of stress? I look at my daughter, really look at her, for the first time in months. She's not the child I've been protecting from adult problems. She's 17, smart, and perfectly capable of understanding that her parents' marriage is dissolving. The kind of stress that comes from making bad choices, sweetheart. She nods like she's been expecting this conversation. Are you getting divorced? That depends on your mother. Good, she says, surprising me. You've been miserable for months. I thought it was my fault. The admission hits harder than any of Marissa's insults. I've been so focused on my wife's betrayal that I missed my daughter's guilt. Lily, none of this is your fault. Adults make their own choices, and sometimes those choices have consequences. Is that why you scratched up that car? I consider lying, maintaining the adult facade of perfection. Instead, I choose honesty. That car belongs to the man your mother's been having an affair with. So yes, that's exactly why I scratched it up. She processes this information with the pragmatic acceptance of her generation. Are you going to scratch up more cars? Only if necessary. Cool, can I watch next time? Despite everything, I laugh. Maybe I haven't lost my entire family after all. Wednesday morning brings a text from Marissa. We need to talk. Romano's, 7 p.m. I arrive 15 minutes early and claim the same corner booth where I watched her romance Dr. Blackwood. The irony tastes better than the overpriced wine. She enters like she's approaching a hostile witness, every movement calculated for maximum legal intimidation. The power suit, the briefcase, the expression that says she's about to demolish my pathetic existence. Eddie. She slides into the booth without removing her jacket. This won't be a long conversation. Counselor, how's therapy going? We're not here to discuss my medical treatment. Medical treatment? Is that what we're calling it now? Her jaw tightens. We're here to discuss your recent behavior and how it's going to stop. I lean back, enjoying the performance. I'm all ears. First, you're going to restore my access to all accounts. Second, you're going to pay for Dr. Blackwood's car repairs. Third, you're going to publicly apologize for your harassment. That's quite a list of demands. What do I get in return? You get to avoid a very expensive divorce where I take half of everything you've built. The moment hangs between us like a loaded weapon. She thinks she holds all the cards, but she's forgotten about the ace up my sleeve. Marissa, Do you remember signing a prenuptial agreement? The color drains from her face. That was 22 years ago. Adultery clauses don't have expiration dates, sweetheart. I pull out a copy of the document, highlighting the relevant section with a yellow marker. Her eyes scan the text, and I watch her legal mind process the implications. You can't prove adultery. Can I? I slide my phone across the table, displaying screenshots of her texts to Blackwood. Your second phone has very poor security settings. She stares at the screen, her professional composure cracking. Those are private communications with my therapist. Communications where you discuss intimate physical contact, scheduling around my work hours, and your amusement at using marital funds for your affair. Any judge would find them compelling evidence. You went through my personal property illegally. I found a phone in my kitchen and returned it to your purse. The fact that it contained evidence of your adultery is just unfortunate timing. Marissa's hands shake as she reaches for her water glass. The powerful attorney who intimidates opponents in court looks fragile under restaurant lighting. What do you want, Eddie? I want my wife to stop screwing her therapist on my dime. Failing that, I want a divorce where I keep everything I built before you decided to upgrade your therapy sessions. This is blackmail. This is marriage counseling. Very effective marriage counseling. She stands abruptly, briefcase clutched like a shield. You think you're so clever, but you have no idea who you're dealing with. I'm dealing with someone who forgot that actions have consequences. Someone who got so comfortable in her deception that she left evidence lying around like breadcrumbs. This isn't over. No, it's not, but it's going to end exactly how I want it to end. She storms out, leaving me with the check and a profound sense of satisfaction. The waiter approaches cautiously, probably wondering if he witnessed a breakup or a business negotiation. Everything all right, sir? Better than it's been in months. That evening, I receive a call from Dr. Theodore Blackwood himself. His voice carries the practiced calm of someone accustomed to managing emotional crises. Mr. Williams, I think we should meet. Dr. Blackwood, how's your car? We need to discuss this situation like rational adults. I'm listening. My office tomorrow at 3. We can resolve this misunderstanding without further complications. Misunderstanding? Is that your professional diagnosis? Mr. Williams, I understand you're upset, but your wife came to me during a difficult period in your marriage. Sometimes people need support to work through complex emotions. The clinical language makes my skin crawl. He's describing my wife's adultery like it's a therapeutic breakthrough. Dr. Blackwood, let me be very clear. Tomorrow at 3, I'll be at your office, but not to resolve anything. I'll be there to explain exactly what kind of support you'll be needing when I'm finished with you. Are you threatening me? I'm educating you. There's a difference. The next afternoon, I arrive at Blackwood's office wearing my best suit, the one I save for car lot commercials and court appearances. The receptionist, a nervous young woman with worried eyes, ushers me into his inner sanctum. Dr. Theodore Blackwood looks exactly like Central Casting would order for unethical therapist. Silver hair, expensive glasses, the kind of studied casual attire that costs more than most people's monthly rent. His office screams success, from the leather furniture to the diplomas covering one wall. Mr. Williams, thank you for coming. Doctor. I don't sit when he gestures to the patient chair. Nice office. Business must be good. Please sit. We can work through this situation together. Work through what situation? The one where you've been screwing my wife during therapy sessions I paid for? His professional mask slips slightly. Mr. Williams, I think you've misunderstood the nature of... I've misunderstood nothing. I've seen the texts, doctor. Very detailed texts about your therapeutic techniques. He moves behind his desk, putting furniture between us. Those communications were taken out of context. What context makes "I can't wait to feel you inside me again" appropriate therapeutic communication? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Blackwood's face cycles through expressions: denial, calculation, fear, and finally resignation. Your marriage was already in crisis when Marissa came to me. So you decided to help it along? Sometimes relationships need to end for people to find happiness. I step closer to his desk, close enough to see sweat beading on his forehead. And sometimes people need to face consequences for their actions. What do you want? I want you to understand something very clearly, doctor. You've built your practice on trust. People come to you with their deepest vulnerabilities, and you exploit them for personal gain. That makes you a predator. I'm not finished. My voice drops to a whisper. I've documented everything, every text, every appointment, every therapy bill that funded your affair with my wife. I've also researched your licensing board's policies on therapist-client relationships. His face goes pale. Marissa isn't technically my client. You are. Even better. You've been having an affair with your client's wife, using information gained through therapy sessions to manipulate the situation. The ethics violation is even clearer. I pull out a manila folder and place it on his desk. Everything's in there. Copies of texts, bank records showing therapy payments, even photos of you two at Romano's. Your licensing board will find it fascinating reading. Blackwood opens the folder with trembling hands. What do you want me to do? I want you to end your relationship with my wife. I want you to transfer her to another therapist, a real one, and I want you to consider a career change. You're destroying my life. No, doctor. I'm providing therapy. Sometimes healing requires cutting out diseased tissue. I head for the door, then pause. Oh, and doctor, if you contact my wife outside of professional necessity, I'll make sure every therapist in the state knows exactly what kind of colleague you are. The drive home feels like victory, but I know this is just the opening round. Marissa won't surrender easily, and Blackwood has too much invested in his practice to walk away quietly. That evening, Lily greets me with news that shifts the entire game. Dad, Mom's not coming home tonight. She's staying at Aunt Rebecca's. Rebecca Chen, Marissa's sister, lives in the expensive part of town and has never approved of her sister's marriage to a car salesman. If Marissa's retreating to family territory, she's preparing for war. Did she say why? She said you've become unstable and she needs time to think. Unstable. The word choice is deliberate, probably coached by Blackwood. They're building a narrative where I'm the dangerous husband who needs to be managed and contained. What do you think, Lily? Am I unstable? She considers the question seriously. You're angry, but you're not crazy angry. You're smart angry. There's a difference. Smart angry. I like that description. Your mother's going to try to paint me as the villain in this situation. Are you the villain? That depends on your perspective, sweetheart. I'm definitely not the hero. The next morning brings a process server to my front door. Marissa's opening legal salvo. The restraining order paperwork claims I've been harassing, threatening, and engaging in increasingly erratic behavior toward both her and Dr. Blackwood. The hearing is scheduled for Friday morning, giving me exactly 3 days to prepare my defense. Fortunately, I have advantages Marissa doesn't know about. I call Tommy Chen, no relation to my wife, despite the name, who handles legal work for my car lot. Tommy's a scrappy solo practitioner who specializes in cases the big firms won't touch. Eddie, what kind of trouble are you in now? The expensive kind. Can you meet me this afternoon? This about your marriage? Among other things. Tommy's office occupies a converted storefront between a dry cleaner and a taco shop. The lack of marble floors and leather furniture doesn't bother me. I've learned to distrust expensive professional settings. Show me what we're dealing with, Tommy says, reviewing the restraining order application. I spread my evidence across his desk like a poker player revealing a royal flush. Bank statements, therapy receipts, printed text messages, photographs, and the prenuptial agreement. Tommy whistles low. Eddie, this is a gold mine. She's claiming you're unstable while conducting an affair with her therapist. Gets better. I've got documentation showing she's been moving marital assets to accounts I don't have access to. Financial misconduct during an affair. The judge is going to love this. We spend 2 hours organizing evidence and crafting strategy. By the time I leave Tommy's office, I feel like a general preparing for battle instead of a husband defending his sanity. Thursday evening, Sasha Morrison calls with gossip disguised as concern. Eddie, honey, I heard about the restraining order. Are you doing all right? Never better, Sasha. Why? Well, Marissa's been telling people you've been making threats, vandalizing property, stalking her therapist. People are worried. What people? You know, people. The neighborhood, the church committee, parents at Lily's school. I can hear the excitement in her voice. Sasha lives for drama, and my marital implosion is the best entertainment Millbrook Heights has seen in years. Sasha, let me ask you something. In all the years you've known me, have I ever been violent or threatening? Well, no, but... And in all the years you've known Marissa, has she ever lied to protect herself? The pause stretches long enough to drive a truck through. I'm just saying, people are concerned. People should be concerned, just not about me. Friday morning arrives cold and gray, matching the mood in Judge Patricia Hendricks's courtroom. Marissa sits with her attorney, a sharp-dressed woman from the city's most prestigious firm. They've chosen their weapons carefully, high-powered legal representation to overwhelm the small-town car dealer. Tommy and I occupy the defendant's table with our cardboard boxes of evidence. We look outgunned, which is exactly how we want to appear. Judge Hendricks, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, calls the hearing to order. This is a petition for a temporary restraining order. Counselor Morrison, present your case. Marissa's attorney, no relation to Sasha, thankfully, stands with practiced confidence. Your Honor, my client fears for her safety due to her husband's escalating pattern of harassment and threats. For the next 20 minutes, I listened to myself described as an unstable, violent man who's been stalking his wife and her therapist. The presentation is masterful, painting me as a dangerous husband who's lost control of his emotions. Your Honor, Morrison concludes, Dr. Blackwood has filed a police report regarding vandalism to his vehicle. My client has documented threats and erratic behavior. We request immediate protection for both my client and Dr. Blackwood. Judge Hendricks turns to Tommy. Counselor Chen, your response? Tommy stands slowly, projecting the image of a simple, small-town lawyer facing impossible odds. Your Honor, my client isn't the person this court should be concerned about. He opens our first evidence box. These are bank statements showing systematic transfer of marital assets by Mrs. Williams to accounts her husband cannot access. Box 2. These are therapy receipts paid by Mr. Williams for sessions between his wife and Dr. Blackwood. Box 3. These are text messages between Mrs. Williams and Dr. Blackwood, clearly indicating an intimate relationship. The courtroom goes silent except for the sound of papers rustling. Judge Hendricks examines each document with growing interest. Your Honor, Tommy continues, Mr. Williams discovered his wife's affair 6 months after it began. His response was to document evidence and protect his financial interests. The only violence in this case is the violence done to marriage vows and professional ethics. Morrison jumps to her feet. Objection. The source of those text messages is questionable, and this hearing isn't about marriage counseling. Actually, Counselor Morrison, it is about marriage counseling, Tommy replies. Dr. Blackwood was providing counseling services to Mr. Williams while conducting an affair with Mr. Williams' wife. The ethical violations are staggering. Judge Hendricks holds up a hand for silence. Dr. Blackwood, you're present in this courtroom. Do you wish to respond to these allegations? Blackwood stands, his composure cracking under judicial scrutiny. Your Honor, my relationship with Mrs. Williams developed after her therapeutic treatment concluded. Tommy produces another document. Your Honor, these therapy bills show sessions continuing through last week. Either Dr. Blackwood is lying under oath or he's admitting to ongoing ethical violations. The trap snaps shut beautifully. Blackwood's face cycles through panic, calculation, and resignation. Your Honor, he stammers, I may have misstated the timeline. Judge Hendricks's expression could freeze lava. Dr. Blackwood, you may have perjured yourself in my courtroom. Counselor Morrison, your client's petition is based on allegations of harassment by a man who discovered his wife's affair with her therapist. The court finds these allegations lack credibility. She turns to me directly. Mr. Williams, vandalism is still vandalism, regardless of provocation. You'll pay restitution for Dr. Blackwood's vehicle repairs? Yes, Your Honor. However, the petition for a restraining order is denied. Dr. Blackwood, I'm referring your case to the State Licensing Board for investigation. The gavel falls like thunder. Marissa's face goes white as paper, while Blackwood looks like a man watching his career dissolve in real time. Outside the courthouse, Tommy grins like a shark. Eddie, that was beautiful. They walked into every trap we set. What happens now? Now they're in full retreat mode. Marissa's going to want to settle quickly and quietly before this gets worse. But I'm not interested in quick and quiet anymore. The courtroom victory tastes good, but it's just an appetizer. That afternoon, I visit the offices of the Millbrook Heights Gazette, our weekly newspaper that specializes in city council meetings and high school sports. The editor, Janet Walsh, has known me for 15 years through car lot advertising. Eddie, what brings you by? I have a story that might interest your readers. What kind of story? The kind involving professional ethics, marital trust, and community standards. Janet's eyes light up with journalistic hunger. I'm listening. I spend an hour providing background information, carefully staying within legal boundaries while painting a picture of corruption and betrayal. Janet takes notes with the enthusiasm of a reporter who stumbled onto the biggest story of her career. Eddie, this is explosive stuff. Are you sure you want this public? Janet, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Sometimes communities need to know who they're trusting with their most private problems. The story runs Wednesday morning under the headline, Local Therapist Under Investigation for Ethics Violations. Janet's reporting is thorough and devastating, laying out the timeline of Blackwood's relationship with Marissa while maintaining professional objectivity. By noon, Blackwood's office phone is ringing constantly. By evening, 3 more clients have filed complaints with the licensing board. Marissa calls me for the first time since the courthouse. You've destroyed him, she says without preamble. I've exposed him. There's a difference. He's lost everything. Good. Maybe his next career will involve less exploitation of vulnerable people. What about us, Eddie? What about our marriage? The question hangs between us like a bridge I'm not sure I want to cross. What about it, Marissa? You chose your therapist over your husband. You chose lies over truth. You chose his bed over ours. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. How was it supposed to happen? You'd quietly divorce me after draining our accounts and moving in with your therapist? I'd disappear into small-town obscurity while you built a new life with my money? Her silence confirms everything. The prenup stands, Marissa. You keep what you brought to the marriage. I keep what I built. We split custody of Lily if she wants to maintain relationships with both parents. And if I fight you? Then I'll make sure everyone in town knows exactly who Marissa Chen-Williams really is. Your law practice, your social standing, your professional reputation, all of it becomes collateral damage. You've changed, Eddie. You used to be kind. I used to be naive. You cured me of that. The line goes quiet, then disconnects. I sit in my empty house, surrounded by the remnants of a 22-year marriage, and feel something I haven't experienced in months. Peace. The talent show arrives on a Thursday evening in late November, transforming Millbrook Heights High School's auditorium into a showcase of teenage dreams and parental pride. Lily's been preparing a violin performance for weeks, practicing scales that drift through the house like soundtrack music for our family's dissolution. I arrive early, claiming a seat in the third row where I can support my daughter while maintaining strategic distance from Marissa's camp. She enters with Rebecca, her sister, and a small entourage of supporters who eye me like I might spontaneously combust. The evening progresses through the usual parade of teenage talent. Singers who can't quite hit the high notes, dancers who stumble through complex routines, comedians whose jokes fall flat in the echoing auditorium. I applaud politely, but my attention stays focused on the drama unfolding in the adult section. Sasha Morrison holds court near the back, whispering updates to anyone within earshot. Dr. Blackwood's licensing board hearing is scheduled for next week, and speculation runs rampant about the outcome. 3 more clients have come forward with complaints, turning his practice into a cautionary tale about professional boundaries. Principal Martinez takes the stage between acts, delivering prepared remarks about community support and student achievement. But tonight, he adds an unscheduled announcement. Before we continue, I'd like to address some recent concerns about maintaining appropriate boundaries between adults and the young people we serve. Our school counselors have prepared resources for any families dealing with trust issues in therapeutic relationships. The statement lands like a guided missile. Everyone in the auditorium knows exactly which therapeutic relationship prompted this warning. Marissa's face goes crimson while Rebecca whispers urgently in her ear. Lily's performance comes near the end of the program. She takes the stage with the confidence of someone who's found her calling, violin positioned perfectly, bow poised for the opening notes of Bach's Air on the G string. The music fills the auditorium with crystalline beauty, each note precise and emotionally resonant. For 4 minutes, the adult drama fades into background noise while my daughter demonstrates the kind of excellence that comes from dedication and natural talent. The applause is thunderous and genuine. Lily takes her bow with a smile that reaches the back row, her eyes finding mine in the audience. In that moment, I remember why I fought so hard to protect what matters most. After the final curtain call, parents and students mingle in the lobby, sharing congratulations and planning post-show celebrations. I'm accepting compliments on Lily's performance when Marissa approaches with her legal entourage. Eddie, we need to talk. About what? About ending this circus before it gets worse. Rebecca steps forward, playing the role of family mediator. Eddie, you've made your point. Everyone knows about Theo and Marissa. Continuing this public campaign serves no purpose except revenge. Rebecca, with respect, your sister conducted a 6-month affair while I paid for the therapy sessions where it happened. If that's not worth revenge, what is? Think about Lily, Marissa interjects. She shouldn't have to endure this public humiliation. I look around the lobby, noting the clusters of parents who stop talking when they notice our conversation. Their expressions range from sympathetic to scandalized, but none look particularly surprised. Marissa, the only person being publicly humiliated is the one who chose to have an affair with her therapist. Lily's getting sympathy and support from people who understand the difference between victim and perpetrator. You're enjoying this, she accuses. I'm surviving this. There's a difference. Lily appears at my elbow, still glowing from her performance success. Dad, Mrs. Patterson wants to know if I'll play at her church service next Sunday. That's up to you, sweetheart. You were magnificent tonight. She beams, then notices the tension radiating from the adult circle. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Marissa says quickly. Your father and I were just discussing some family business. Are you getting divorced? Lily asks with the directness of someone who's tired of adult euphemisms. The question hangs in the lobby air like smoke. Other conversations pause as parents strain to hear our response. Yes, I answer. We're getting divorced. Marissa's face goes pale. Eddie, this isn't the place. Actually, it's the perfect place. Our daughter deserves honest answers, and our community deserves to know that some marriages end because of choices, not circumstances. I turn to address the growing audience. For anyone who's wondering, my wife has been having an affair with her therapist for 6 months. I discovered it, documented it, and now I'm ending it. The divorce will be final as soon as the paperwork clears. The lobby goes silent except for the whispered conversations of teenagers who understand adult drama better than adults give them credit for. Rebecca grabs Marissa's arm. We're leaving. This is insane. No, Lily says firmly. I'm staying with Dad. The declaration hits Marissa like a physical blow. Lily, you don't understand the whole situation. I understand enough. Dad's been honest with me. You've been lying to everyone. Your father's been manipulating you. Mom, stop. Lily's voice carries the authority of someone who's made an adult decision. I'm 17, not 7. I can see what's happening. She turns to me. Can we go home now? I want to practice the piece for Mrs. Patterson's church. Of course, sweetheart. As we walk toward the parking lot, I hear Sasha Morrison's voice carrying across the lobby. Well, I never thought I'd see the day when Marissa Chen-Williams got called out in public like that. The drive home passes in comfortable silence. Lily stares out the passenger window at the familiar streets of Millbrook Heights, processing the evening's events. Dad, are you happy about the divorce? The question deserves an honest answer. I'm not happy that my marriage failed, Lily, but I'm relieved that the lies are finally over. Do you think Mom will be okay? Your mother's a survivor. She'll rebuild her life and probably be more successful than ever. What about you? I consider the question as we pull into our driveway. The house looks smaller somehow, like it's already adjusting to its new reality as a single-parent home. I think I'll be fine, sweetheart. Better than fine, actually. The next morning brings a phone call from Tommy Chen with news that shifts everything into final resolution. Eddie, Marissa's attorney, called. They want to settle. What are the terms? Everything you asked for. She keeps her law practice and personal assets. You keep the house and the car lot. Joint custody of Lily, though based on last night's performance, that might be academic. What about the therapy bills? She's agreed to reimburse you for the full amount. Apparently, her malpractice attorney advised that pursuing any claims against you would require admitting to the affair under oath. I lean back in my office chair, surrounded by the familiar chaos of my car lot. Through the window, I can see Mo adjusting the alignment on a customer's Honda, his movements efficient and purposeful. Tommy, make it happen. I want this finished. Eddie, you won. Completely and totally. How does it feel? The question deserves consideration. 6 months ago, I was a husband and father, living what I thought was a stable, if imperfect, marriage. Today, I'm a single father who successfully defended his family and business against betrayal. It feels like justice, Tommy. Expensive, complicated, messy justice. The paperwork takes 3 weeks to finalize, but the emotional resolution happens faster. Marissa moves out of Rebecca's house into a downtown apartment, beginning the process of rebuilding her professional reputation. Dr. Blackwood loses his license and relocates to another state, presumably to start over in a profession that doesn't involve exploiting vulnerable people. Lily thrives in the aftermath, her violin playing improving dramatically as the household stress decreases. She's been accepted to 3 different music programs for next fall, each offering full scholarships that will take her far from Millbrook Heights and its small-town drama. On the final day of the divorce proceedings, Marissa and I meet outside the courthouse to sign the last documents. She looks older, worn down by months of public scrutiny and professional consequences. Eddie, I want you to know I never meant for things to happen this way. How did you mean for them to happen, Marissa? She considers the question, probably wondering if honesty serves any purpose at this point. I thought I could manage everything. The marriage, the affair, the transition to a new life. I thought I was smart enough to control all the variables. You forgot about one variable. What's that? You forgot that actions have consequences, and eventually those consequences find you. She nods, accepting the truth of it. What will you tell people about us? I'll tell them that some marriages survive difficult times and others don't. Ours didn't. That's generous. That's honest. There's a difference. We shake hands like business partners concluding a transaction, which in many ways we are. 22 years of shared history reduced to legal documents and property divisions. That evening, Lily and I celebrate with dinner at Romano's, reclaiming the restaurant from its association with betrayal. She orders the same pasta dish her mother used to prefer, while I stick with the simple burger that matches my uncomplicated tastes. Dad, do you think you'll get married again? Someday, maybe. When I meet someone who understands that marriage is about building something together, not tearing it apart for personal gain. What about dating? What about focusing on raising an incredibly talented daughter who's about to take the world by storm? She grins, twirling pasta around her fork with the same precision she applies to violin strings. I can live with that priority list. Outside the restaurant windows, Millbrook Heights settles into its evening routine. Streetlights illuminate familiar neighborhoods where people live ordinary lives filled with the usual mixture of joy and disappointment, success and failure, trust and betrayal. I've learned that revenge, properly applied, isn't about destruction. It's about restoration, restoring truth, restoring justice, restoring the natural order that gets disrupted when people believe they can escape consequences through cleverness and manipulation. My marriage is over, but my life is just beginning its next chapter. And unlike the previous chapter, this one will be written entirely by me.